Chapter 9, Part 2. I'm back after dinner. I had chicken wings, and French fries, and mango float, in case you were curious. Alright, so we just came from Katniss having a little bit of a breakdown, and the kindness and forgiveness shown to her by the Avox girl really calmed her down. And I want to note that, guys, that Katniss, she was throwing plates around and stuff. It did also say that I spent the next hour helping the redheaded girl clean the room. So she made a mess, but then she did help clean it. And again, as I mentioned before, human beings, we're imperfect and we're sloppy. But then we instantly become more likable when we fix the messes that we make. So I think that's why Katniss, at times, she's really annoying. And rereading this now, I don't remember this part, and I don't remember getting this annoyed with Katniss. And I think it's because she makes up for her mistakes and she cleans up her messes. Even though she makes messes, she cleans them up. And so it's easier to forget the annoying things about her when someone is willing to do that. Alright, so let's start. Part 2 of Chapter 9. In the morning, it's not the girl, but my prep team who are hanging over me. My lessons with Effie and Haymitch are over. This day belongs to Cinna. He's my last hope. Maybe he can make me look so wonderful, no one will care what comes out of my mouth. The team works on me until late afternoon, turning my skin to glowing satin, stenciling patterns on my arms, painting flame designs on my 20 perfect nails. Then Vania goes to work on my hair, weaving strands of red into a pattern that begins at my left ear, wraps around my head, and then falls in one braid down my right shoulder. They erase my face with a layer of pale makeup and draw my features back out. Huge dark eyes, full red lips, lashes that throw off bits of light when I blink. Finally, they cover my entire body in a powder that makes me shimmer in gold dust. Then Cinna enters with what I assume is my dress, but I can't really see it because it's covered. Close your eyes, he orders. I can feel the silken inside as they slip it down over my naked body, then the weight. It must be 40 pounds. I clutch Octavia's hand as I blindly step into my shoes, glad to find they are at least 2 inches lower than the pair Effie had me practice in. There's some adjusting and fidgeting, then silence. Can I open my eyes? I ask. Yes, says Cinna. Open them. So again, I said it before that if you're into like fashion or if you're into style or any form of art, really, you will like the Hunger Games because it's very, very creative. And they put this dress on Katniss and she just opened her eyes, and even her skin, they put like gold dust on her that makes her look like she's shimmering, because Katniss's thing is the girl on fire. The creature standing before me in the full-length mirror has come from another world, where skin shimmers and eyes flash, and apparently they make their clothes from jewels. Because my dress is entirely covered in reflective precious gems, red and yellow and white with bits of blue that accent the tips of the flame design. The slightest movement gives the impression I am engulfed in tongues of fire. I am not pretty. I am not beautiful. I am as radiant as the sun. For a while, we all just stare at me. Oh, Cinna, I finally whisper. Thank you. Twirl for me, he says. I hold out my arms and spin in a circle. The prep team screams in admiration. Cinna dismisses the team and has me move around in the dress and shoes, which are infinitely more manageable than Effie's. The dress hangs in such a way that I don't have to lift the skirt when I walk, leaving me with one less thing to worry about. So all ready for the interview then? Asks Cinna. I can see by his expression that he's been talking to Haymitch, but he knows how dreadful I am. Sorry, I hate my squeaky chair. I'm awful. Haymitch called me a dead slug. No matter what we tried, I couldn't do it. I just can't be one of those people he wants me to be, I say. Cinna thinks about this a moment. Why don't you just be yourself? Myself? That's no good either. Hamish says I'm sullen and hostile, I say. Well, you are around Hamish, says Cinna with a grin. I don't find you so. The prep team adores you. You even won over the game makers. And as for the citizens of the capital, well, they can't stop talking about you. No one can help but admire your spirit. My spirit? This is a new thought. I'm not sure exactly what it means, but it suggests I'm a fighter. In a sort of brave way, it's not as if I'm never friendly. Okay, maybe I don't go around loving everybody I meet. Maybe my smiles are hard to come by, but I do care for some people. Cinna takes my icy hands in his warm ones. Suppose when you answer the questions, you think you're addressing a friend back home. Who would your best friend be? Asks Cinna. Gail, I say instantly. Only it doesn't make sense, Cinna. I would never be telling Gail those things about me. He already knows them. What about me? Could you think of me as a friend? Asks Cinna. Of all the people I've met since I left home, Cinna is by far my favorite. I liked him right off, and he hasn't disappointed me yet. I think so, but I'll be sitting on the main platform with the other stylists. You'll be able to look right at me. When you're asked a question, find me, and answer it as honestly as possible, says Cinna. Even if what I think is horrible, I ask, because it might be really. Especially if what you think is horrible, says Cinna. You'll try it? I nod. It's a plan. Or at least a straw to grasp at. I really like this. Cinna good tells her no nga, pretend you're talking to a friend. Pretend you're talking to a friend. And Katniss says, I can't imagine that because Gail already knows everything about me. So the one person she can maybe imagine as a friend is Gail. But then Cinna says, what about me? Do you think of me as a friend? And Katniss said, yes, I do. So he said, when you're asked a question by the interviewer, pretend you're talking to me. Look for me in the audience and pretend you're telling me because Hamish calls you cranky, no, and angry. But when you talk to me, you're not. You're very likable when you talk to me because you're really being yourself. So I like that Cinna's advice really counters Hamish's advice, where Hamish was like, "Oh, you should lie," okay, but Cinna is saying that you should be yourself. Just pretend you're talking to a friend. Pretend you're talking to me. And I really like this. I like that this is really the moment where we see no nga Cinna and Katniss, they are friends. Okay? Hold on, my tie is a little crooked and it's freaking me out. Okay. Too soon it's time to go. The interviews take place on a stage constructed in front of the training center. Once I leave my room, it will be only minutes until I'm in front of the crowd, the cameras all of Pan Am. As Cinna turns the doorknob, I stop his hand. Cinna, I'm completely overcome with stage fright. Remember, they already love you, he says gently. Just be yourself. We meet up with the rest of the District 12 crowd at the elevator. Portia and her gang have been hard at work. Pita looks striking in a black suit with flame accents. While we look well together, it's a relief not to be dressed identically. Hamish and Effie are all fancied up for the occasion. I avoid Hamish but accept Effie's compliments. Effie can be tiresome and clueless, but she's not destructive like Hamish. When the elevator opens, the other tributes are being lined up to take the stage. All 24 of us sit in a big arc throughout the interviews. I'll be last, or second to last, since the girl tribute precedes the boy from each district. How I wish I could be first and get the whole thing out of the way. Now I'll have to listen to how witty, funny, humble, fierce, and charming everybody else is before I go up. Plus, the audience will start to get bored just as the game makers did, and I can't exactly shoot an arrow into the crowd to get their attention. Right before we parade onto the stage, Hamish comes up behind Pita and me and growls, "Remember, you're still a happy pair, so act like it." What? I thought we abandoned that when Pita asked for separate coaching. But I guess that was a private, not a public thing. Anyway, there's not much chance for interaction now as we walk a single file to our seats and take our places. Just stepping on the stage makes my breathing rapid and shallow. I can feel my pulse pounding in my temples. It's a relief to get to my chair because between the heels and my legs shaking, I'm afraid I'll trip. Although evening is falling, the city circle is brighter than a summer's day. An elevated seating unit has been set up for prestigious guests with a stylist commanding the front row. The cameras will turn to them when the crowd is reacting to their handiwork. A large balcony off a building to the right has been reserved for the game makers. Television crews have claimed most of the other balconies, but the city circle and the avenues that feed into it are completely packed with people. Standing room only. At homes and community halls around the country, every television set is turned on. Every citizen of Pan Am is tuned in. There will be no blackouts tonight. Cesar Flickerman, the man who has hosted the interviews for more than 40 years, bounces onto the stage. It's a little scary because his appearance has been virtually unchanged during all that time. Same face under a coating of pure white makeup. Same hairstyle that he dyes a different color for each Hunger Games. Same ceremonial suit, midnight blue dotted with 1,000 tiny electric bulbs that twinkle like stars. They do surgery in the capital to make people appear younger and thinner. In District 12, looking old is something of an achievement since so many people die early. You see an elderly person, you want to congratulate them on their longevity. Ask the secret of survival. A plump person is envied because they aren't scraping by like the majority of us. But here it is different. Wrinkles aren't desirable. A round belly isn't a sign of success. This year, Caesar's hair is powder blue and his eyelids and lips are coated in the same hue. He looks freakish but less frightening than he did last year when his color was crimson and he seemed to be bleeding. Caesar tells a few jokes to warm up the audience but then gets down to business. So it's kind of like this huge thing, it's kind of like this huge show, this huge entertainment, this huge spectacle. It's interviews with 24 young people who are all going to compete in the Hunger Games. And the host of it is Cesar Flickerman, okay? And again, he kind of looks like Joker. Again, he's from the capital, so he wears a lot of makeup, and he had so many surgeries because he's been hosting for 40 years now, but he still looks the same. Every year he looks the same. So he has surgery, to make himself look the same age every year, even though he's been doing it for 40 years. The girl tribute from District 1, looking provocative in a see-through gold gown, steps up the center of the stage to join Caesar for her interview. You can tell her mentor didn't have any trouble coming up with an angle for her. With that flowing blonde hair, emerald green eyes, her body tall and lush, she's sexy all the way. Each interview only lasts 3 minutes, then a buzzer goes off and the next tribute is up. I'll say this for Caesar, he really does his best to make the tributes shine. He's friendly, tries to set the nervous ones at ease, laughs at lame jokes, and can turn a weak response into a memorable one by the way he reacts. I sit like a lady the way Effie showed me as the district slips by. 2, 3, 4. Everyone seems to be playing up some angle. The monstrous boy from District 2 is a ruthless killing machine. The fox-faced girl from District 5 is sly and elusive. I spotted Cinna as soon as he took his place, but even his presence cannot relax me. 8, 9, 10. The crippled boy from 10 is very quiet. My palms are sweating like crazy, but the jewel dress isn't absorbent and they skid right off if I try to dry them. 11. Rue, who is dressed in a gossamer gown complete with wings, flutters her way to Caesar. A hush falls over the crowd at the sight of this magical wisp of a tribute. Caesar's very sweet with her, complimenting her 7 in training, an excellent score for one so small. When he asks her what her greatest strength in the arena will be, she doesn't hesitate. I'm very hard to catch. She says in a tremulous voice, and if they can't catch me, they can't kill me, so don't count me out. I wouldn't in a million years, says Caesar encouragingly. The boy tribute from District 11, Thresh, has the same dark skin as Rue, but the resemblance stops there. He's one of the giants, probably 6.5 feet tall and built like an ox. But I noticed he rejected the invitations from the career tributes to join their crowd. Instead, he's been very solitary, speaking to no one, showing little interest in training. Even so, he scored a 10, and it's not hard to imagine he impressed the game makers. He ignores Caesar's attempts at banter and answers with a yes or no, or just remains silent. If only I was his size, I could get away with sullen and hostile and it would be just fine. I bet half the sponsors are at least considering him. If I had any money, I'd bet on him myself. And then they're calling Katniss Everdeen, and I feel myself as if in a dream, standing and making my way center stage. Are you nervous? I don't know. I'm really nervous. The scene before the interview is so nerve-wracking to me. Maybe it's because I'm an introvert. Maybe because I would be freaking out if I were Katniss too. And I know there are bigger things to worry about. No, I know that that they have to go and kill each other in a few hours, but I'm also very nervous for this, no, for these 3 minutes of being in front of the whole Pan Am, and you have to try to be likable. That's terrifying to me. Okay, and I feel myself as if in a dream, standing and making my way center stage. I shake Caesar's outstretched hand, and he has the good grace not to immediately wipe his off on his suit. So, Katniss, the capital must be quite a change from District 12. What's impressed you most since you arrived here? Asks Caesar. What? What did he say? It's as if the words make no sense. Katniss? She's so nervous she can't even really understand him. My mouth has gone as dry as sawdust. I desperately find Cinna in the crowd and lock eyes with him. I imagine the words coming from his lips. What's impressed you most since you arrived here? I rack my brain for something that made me happy here. Be honest, I think. Be honest. The lambs too, I get out. Caesar laughs, and vaguely I realize some of the audience has joined in. The one with the dried plums? Asks Caesar. I nod. Oh, I eat it by the bucketful. He turns sideways to the audience in horror, hand on his stomach. It doesn't show, does it? They shout reassurances to him and applaud. This is what I mean about Caesar. He tries to help you out. Now, Katniss, he says confidentially, when you came out in the opening ceremonies, my heart actually stopped. What did you think of that costume? Cinna raises one eyebrow at me. Be honest. You mean after I got over my fear of being burned alive, I ask. Big laugh, a real one from the audience. Yes, start then, says Caesar. Cinna, my friend, I should tell him anyway. I thought Cinna was brilliant, and it was the most gorgeous costume I'd ever seen, and I couldn't believe I was wearing it. I can't believe I'm wearing this either. I lift up my skirt to spread it out. I mean, look at it. As the audience oohs and ahs, I see Cinna make the tiniest circular motion with his finger. But I know what he's saying. Twirl for me. I spin in a circle once, and the reaction is immediate. Oh, do that again, says Caesar, and so I lift up my arms and spin around and around, letting the skirt fly out, letting the dress engulf me in flames. The audience breaks into cheers. When I stop, I clutch Caesar's arm. Okay, so Katniss, she's taking Cinna's advice. She's being herself, but she's just pretending, and she's only talking to Cinna. And she remembered that Cinna told her to turn, so she starts spinning. And because of the dress, the dress is made of jewels, of sparkle good. And when she's spinning around, it really looks like she's on fire good. Okay, it looks like she's on fire because of the way the light's reflecting on the jewels. It looks like she's burning, and it's not scary. It's beautiful good, and the audience is going crazy. Don't stop, he says. I have to, I'm dizzy. I'm also giggling, which I think I've done maybe never in my lifetime, but the nerves and the spinning have gotten to me. Caesar wraps a protective arm around me. Don't worry, I've got you. Can't have you falling in your mentor's footsteps. Everyone's hooting as the cameras find Haymitch, who is by now famous for his head dive at the reaping, and he waves them away good-naturedly and points back to me. It's all right, Caesar reassures the crowd. She's safe with me. So how about the training score? 11. Give us a hint what happened in there. I glance at the game makers on the balcony and bite my lip. All I can say is I think it was a first. The cameras are right on the game makers who are chuckling and nodding. You're killing us, says Caesar, as if in actual pain. Details, details. I address the balcony. I'm not supposed to talk about it, right? The game maker who fell in the punch bowl shouts out. She's not. Thank you, I say. Sorry, my lips are sealed. Let's go back then to the moment they called your sister's name at the reaping, says Caesar. His mood is quieter now, and you volunteered. Can you tell us about her? No, not all of you, but maybe Cinna. I don't think I'm imagining the sadness on his face. Her name's Prim. She's just 12, and I love her more than anything. You could hear a pin drop in the city circle now. What did she say to you? After the reaping, Caesar asks. Be honest, I swallow hard. She asked me to try really hard to win. The audience is frozen, hanging on my every word. And what did you say? Prompts Caesar gently. But instead of warmth, I feel an icy rigidity take over my body. My muscles tense as they do before a kill. When I speak, my voice seems to have dropped an octave. I swore I would. I bet you did, says Caesar, giving me a squeeze. The buzzer goes off. Sorry, we're out of time. Best of luck, Katniss Everdeen. Tribute from District 12. The applause continues long before I'm seated. I look to Cinna for reassurance. He gives me a subtle thumbs up. Okay, so Katniss did a good job. Katniss did a good job in her interview, and if you were like me and you felt nervous, no? You also feel relieved that, oh, okay, she didn't mess up. She did a very good job. She took Cinna's advice. She was herself. She didn't lie. She was very honest. It's just that she was imagining that she was only talking to Cinna. And her replies then were friendly, and they were funny, and they were humble, and they were charming. So she did a very good job, thanks to Cinna. And you would think, guys, you would think that, okay, that's the end of the chapter. That's the end of chapter 9. But it's not, because we have one page, and stuff happens in this page, so let's just end it. I'm still in a daze for the first part of Pita's interview, because girls go first in the interviews, guys, so Pita is the last to be interviewed. He has the audience from the get-go, though. I can hear them laughing, shouting out. Okay, because again, Pita is so likable. He's so charming. He looks so good in his suit pa gyud. So, Katniss isn't even worried about him. She knows he's gonna do a good job. He plays up the baker's son thing, comparing the tributes to the breads from their districts. Then has a funny anecdote about the perils of the capital showers. Tell me, do I still smell like roses? He asks Caesar. And then there's a whole run where they take turns sniffing each other that brings down the house. I'm coming back into focus when Caesar asks him if he has a girlfriend back home. So Pita's interview, as expected, is going very, very well. Okay, like they're laughing and he's funny, he's charming. And then Caesar asks him if he has a girlfriend back home. Pita hesitates, then gives an unconvincing shake of his head. Handsome lad like you, there must be some special girl. Come on, what's her name, says Caesar. Pita sighs. Well, there is this one girl. I've had a crush on her ever since I can remember. But I'm pretty sure she didn't know I was alive until the reaping. Okay, so Caesar asks Pita if he has a girlfriend. And Pita says he doesn't, but he does have a girl. There is a girl that he has a crush on. He's had a crush on her since forever. But then she never noticed him. Okay, until the reaping. Sounds of sympathy from the crowd. Unrequited love that they can relate to. She have another fellow? Asks Caesar. I don't know, but a lot of boys like her, says Pita. So here's what you do. You win, you go home. She can't turn you down then, eh? Says Caesar encouragingly. Okay, so Caesar said, well, it's okay. You win the Hunger Games, and for sure, she'll want to be with you because you're the winner of the Hunger Games. I don't think it's going to work out. Winning won't help in my case, says Pita. Why ever not, says Caesar, mystified. Pita blushes beet red and stammers out, because she came here with me. Alright, so he's talking about this girl that he's had a crush on since forever. He said, I've had a crush on her my whole life, but she's never noticed me. And then he reveals, in front of Caesar, in front of everyone, in front of the whole country, in front of the whole Pan Am, in front of Katniss, he reveals that this girl that he's had a crush on for his whole life, she came to the capital with him. She came to the Hunger Games with him. So he's basically confessing to everyone, including Katniss, that Katniss is this girl that he's had a crush on in forever. And he's doing this in front of the entire country. And he's doing it in front of Katniss. He's saying that, I have a crush on Katniss. End of chapter 9. And end of part 1. What a way to end part 1. Do we trust him? Are you screaming? I'm mentally screaming right now. Whenever I reach this part, it's the perfect end to part 1. And you're like, what did he just say? What did Pita just do? What did he just say? Why is he doing it? What is happening? End of part 1.